call this Scottsdale School District Board meeting to order and ask Mr. Pecoraro to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you sat down. But you have to tell us about yourself, Jim.
What can I tell about myself that you don't know?
Let's see, how many grandkids?
Well, yeah, I kind of got into trouble that the other day. A Sodexo employee stopped by and they asked me how many grandkids I had, and I said, well, I think I got 17, but I do have 20. So anyhow, I kind of rely on my wife to, keep track of that stuff, the birthdays and how many there are, and I just have to dole out them. But anyhow, I've lived in Battleground most all of my life. Went to school at Glenwood and then middle school in Battleground here in high school. Graduated in '68. Been pretty much in the district all my life. Work for a logging company now, but winded down trying to semi-retire and move on. But gonna miss you guys, but I'll be back. See you.
What's been the best part of being on the board for you? And what's been I want to ask the worst
The best part? Well, I've really enjoyed the tours and that, and seeing the kids, and mostly the primary, but kind of getting around and seeing what happens in the schools. Don't ask me the worst.
Thanks, Jim.
And it does take a lot of time, and I don't know if there's prospective ones are here or not, but it does take quite a bit of time behind the scenes of reading, trying to understand the stuff. There's a lot to understand, but I've learned a lot along the way. I have to thank all of you for helping me.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Ms. Backus, can you take us through the roll call?
Yes, President and Director of District 1, Monty Anderson.
Here.
Vice President and Director of District 4, Mavis Nichols.
Here?
Director of District 2, Ken Root is absent. Director of District 3, Jim Pecoraro.
Here.
And Director of District 5, Stephanie McClintock.
Here.
And we have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Backus. And Mr. Root did have a request to be excused.
I move that we excuse Mr. Root.
So Ms. Nichols has made a motion to excuse Mr. Root. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next, I would look for agenda approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So we have a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda is our ASB reports, and we don't have any ASB members here, so we'll move down to the financial.
Good evening. Nice sunny day, not so hot as yesterday.
It's beautiful.
It is. Two things I wanted to talk to you about today. You'll find in your packets there is an enrollment update for June. And as we've talked about, enrollment has not met up to the budgeted, what we budgeted and forecasted for this fiscal year. There are still some enrollment adjustments that we have to make throughout this summer, and so a final number will be to you once those are completed, I would think by mid-August or end of August. But there shouldn't be very much change. Running Start was definitely up almost about 50 FTE. we were down from our budgeted basic education of about 230 FTE, and ALE was down for the year about roughly 207. Forecasting enrollment for next year, it's basically all first graders become second graders, and we took into consideration there is a lot of growth in the south, and so we are continually monitoring that since the budget has not been completed yet for 17-18, that is an area that we are monitoring not only by the June counts but also of students that are enrolled over the summer at our south buildings. Moving on to the legislature, we are still waiting for a biennium budget from the state. They have until June 30th, and then there's apparently going to be a government shutdown because Governor Inslee has declared that he will not sign a temporary budget. So with that, last Friday, the 23rd, OSPI sent out an email to all school districts noting that June's apportionment payment, which is on June 30th, is going to be short paid to the tune for Battleground School District of $348,000. So essentially what that means is that we'll be relying on our fund balance in June and July until a budget is passed for the short pays. And once a budget is approved by the state, they will basically make that up, catch that up in July or August apportionment. Any questions? I will be coming back to you for a contract authorization piece in the new business. Thanks.
Mr. Dolan, do you have anything to report on?
Do you want to hit on them all or not?
You bet.
It's plenty to hear.
We'd love to hear your reports on the progress that we're making in our operations department.
There we go. Well, thank you. So operations, obviously, we've started our busy time. Up at Amboy, we're doing I'll just go through our projects that we have listed that we go over weekly in our department. Up at Amboy, we're working on a covered entry on the south part of the school. It's in for permits now. Battleground High School, kind of a late project that came to us. We're creating a STEM lab in B22. That's at the high school. At Captain, we have a lot going on this summer. We're waterproofing the gym walls. We're revising the outdoor air. That's a contract that's later on in the agenda. We're replacing the cafeteria flooring, what used to be the old small gym. We're replacing that sheet vinyl with VCT. It'll handle the tables a lot better. We're also replacing the hallway carpeting in Captain Strong and turning it all into VCT. We're moving to get all carpeting out of our hallways eventually. It's a real pain for the custodians. It's a little noisier, but it's just for a brief period between classrooms, but for class times. But it really helps on the maintenance of the buildings. Chief, we're also waterproofing that gym this summer. That's what our painting crew is doing this summer. They're dedicated to sealing up some CMU walls that we've had trouble with for a long time. So we're hoping to attack that this summer. At Casey, we're under contract to replace the roof on the C building. Not sure still when that's going to happen. The A building, we are replacing the HVAC on that starting July 21st. That's a Friday. We'll try to minimize our disruption to the Casey A building folks, but there will be on the 24th, we will have that building empty as we're hoisting the new air handling unit on, and they'll be without AC for a couple days, so they're not going to be happy, but they'll be happy later on when the unit's installed. It's an old 25-year-old unit that's given up the ghost. Daybreak Gym, we're also waterproofing that gym. Glenwood, the Catola House, the one next to it, we've been planning to burn that for a long time, and unfortunately Vancouver Fire District does not do burnings anymore on residential houses, so we're gonna have to just tear that down with an excavator. Lauren, they're relocating the 4 portables. They're had great progress in Yakult today, disconnecting them all, power's off, water's off, everything's disconnected, and hope to be having transit tomorrow, heading out of the Lauren side. We have a busy summer and it's 2 weeks shorter than normal. Same amount of work, 2 weeks shorter. Up at Maple Grove, again, I've mentioned this to you before, at the HomeLink site, that playground, we're resealing that asphalt, and at the HomeLink site, we're also replacing a lot of troubled sidewalks from the trees that have, the roots that have caused a lot of damage over the years to those sidewalks. And we're removing some trees so they don't continue to cause those problems. Also, we had a kind of a late project that got added there. We're adding 2 preschool special ed classrooms out in what they refer to the Longhouse, the 10-plex out there. We're going to put in some standalone restrooms and some cabinetry for 2 classrooms of preschool special ed.
Is that for Maple Grove or?
Yeah, the Maple Grove Longhouse. And at Prairie, if you've been there lately, the pathway lighting's out, looks wonderful. I haven't been here I haven't been here late, but have you seen it at
Yeah,
night?
I've seen it at night, but
Cool.
I've seen it last week, so it looks nice.
Yeah,
It'll be great for football season.
exactly, yeah. And then we're also doing some office modifications in the main office at Prairie. At Tukes, again, we'll be waterproofing those gym walls, and we're creating a STEM lab. Not as extensive as the one at Pleasant Valley, but it'll be a robotic. We're putting windows, a door between the existing computer lab and windows all along so that the teacher can supervise both classrooms going on. We're talking robotics in one of the rooms and computer in the other. So we'll be doing that this summer as well. And then at Yakult, we're resealing and chip sealing and resealing the parking lots up there, as well as the 10-plex modular that's underway, so we're busy. Specific questions, I'd be glad to. I'll be up here later for quite a few items also.
Thank you.
Ross, keep on learning.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Cindy Arnold to come up. Cindy and I it's been about a month now, attended a Career Connected Learning Summit, which was part of a statewide summit, so we were kind of in Clark County as a satellite part of that. Cindy was actually one of the speakers and presenters at that event, and really the event was to put the heads together and take a look at ways that we could encourage students to do more work-based experiences to get them excited about the workforce and the education needed to get into those areas. It kind of focused around internships, apprenticeships, and other work site-based learning activities, many revolving around STEM activities, which I have a very strong interest in. So I thought I would invite Cindy to come in and talk about kind of what our efforts are in the districts in that direction. It's been a while since we've listened for her. So.
Okay, thank you very much. And kind of we're getting the impression from the state that what's called career-related learning experiences could be something that the state is going to really take a closer look at. So thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. So I have up here career-related learning experiences. Don't say it 3 times fast, it's hard. Chris Neal was going to be with me here tonight, but she is at an actual work-based learning workshop, so she's not here. There are basically a couple of different ways our kids get experiences, both in and outside of the classroom with career and technical education. So they actually get experiences sometimes within the classroom in the form of guest speakers, or they do field trips, and sometimes there are internships. Those are basically in-classroom experiences, and then there are more out-of-classroom experiences. That would be the second with the work-based learning experiences. When we looked at this data, Chris helped me crunch this data, and we did not include things like college visitations, FAFSA night, military visitations, Cascadia Tech, going to the Skills Center. We didn't include that. So these are like what would happen inside the classroom. So things like the floral class took a field trip, and they went into Portland and they visited a floral shop. And so you can see here, these are some of the experiences our kids had within the classroom with the guest speakers in the field trip. We have some students in ROTC that'll be going to Nassau this summer. That's another experience that kids would have. We had our ROTC also do an overnight. They did kind of a survival out in the field. So what it looks like, this is just a quick synopsis of what it might look like for a student to go on a field trip. This works for me. And it's not working, so I'll just go back. But they actually go to a facility and they fly inside a bubble, and it's called iFly. So our ROTC students went to iFly and they flew in this bubble with an instructor. So 18 students did that. They were inside a bubble and they just were in the air, but it's not really coming up for us. So here's some more. These again are all in-class experiences. 10 visited Columbia Machine. We had 25 visit Sigma Design and Bonneville Dam. And so these are the kinds of experiences our kids get in the classroom. And here's a picture of the students in floral design. These are the kids that went to Portland and visited some floral shops in Portland. And it just goes on and on. And of course, you already know about things like our mock interviews and our industry fair. Again, those are just we touch with kids just to give them that experience. But then we have what is called actually kids working in work-based learning. So our juniors get 1 credit and our seniors get 2 credits if they're actually working in a business and they're actually getting that experience. It has to be a class attached to a class, so they either took digital communications or welding, that kind of a thing. And there are a lot. So I thought a picture is worth 1,000 words. So these are just the A's, and it goes into the B's and C's. These are all of the businesses that work with our kids. So you can see on the right-hand side, that's the number of students in the business. And so, for example, we have, these are all, a lot of them are 1s, but then we also have 3 kids working at Fred Meyer. We have kids working in landscaping. We have students working in IQ Credit Union. We have kids that have taken 3D modeling working for JRT Mechanical. Lindbergh Pipe and Grade that have had welding classes. And it just continues on and on. Prairie Electric has 10 of our students. Tappanee has quite a few of our students. S&S Construction has a couple of our kids. There's Tappanee there. Tappanee Plumbing has 4 of our kids. 1 that's working as an office assistant and 4 others that are learning the trade. And we have 5 at Touchmark. So you can see that there are a lot of kids. And so total numbers, 1,583 students have in-class experiences. And we have over 160 students that are getting credit in work-based learning just at Battleground and Prairie. We have over 200 students in our district that are getting work experience in actually working in industry. And so we hear a lot about, like I know Mark and I hear a lot about SEH, which is a great internship program in Evergreen, but they have 10 to 15 students a year, and we have over 200 kids that are working with our local business and industry partners. So I think that that's pretty amazing. We have highlights, and just kind of looking at that, I just kind of went through that very quickly so you couldn't really get a feel for it. But just some highlights, 92 of our students that I showed you worked in the skilled trades, so plumbing, electrical, masonry, or carpentry. We had 33 of those students working in the food industry, 19 are working in office, clerical, or customer service, 9 are working in business and marketing, 6 are working in the medical field, 3 are in the science field, and 4 in the service industries. Other highlights, 77 of those 200 students are seniors, 27 received senior recognition awards. 18 of these students were honors students. 2 have enlisted in the military. 3 have received electrical JATC scholarships. 3 are going to be a part of our local 290 apprenticeships next year. And we have, over the past 2 years, 5 of our students now work for IQ through our IQ partnership at Battleground High School. Businesses that have several students. So we have 4 at Advanced Electric, 6 at Glenwood Place, so they're working in the health field there, 4 at Hendrickson HVAC, 10 at Prairie Electric. I would say Prairie Electric is a big partner of ours. 5 at Tappanee Plumbing, and 5 at Touchmark, and those are just some highlights of some of the businesses that we work with. So in conclusion, there's a vast amount of support from our local area businesses that we don't always hear about, that have hired our students and are working with our kids. And basically, as they're working with our kids are getting some great training. Also, many our businesses and skilled trades who are working closely with some of our brightest and most talented students. And our students are getting an experience outside of the classroom if they're connected to CTE. So really, any of our students that are in the CTE program are getting some type, even if it's just an exposure to a career, they're getting some type of an experience outside of the classroom. So that's just kind of an up-to-date. What I'd like to expand on is a little more on the internship area, and Mr. Ross and I have talked a little bit about how we could maybe go about doing that in the future, but that's where I'd like to expand. So, any questions?
What can we do to support what you're doing?
Well, you're always a great supporter of career and technical education, so I just really appreciate you guys continuing your support and just working, talking to the state and just being a support whenever you can, and just keeping CTE funding strong, because that's what my programs are extensive and we need the funding to be able to keep them going. So.
And it appears that that's one of the big funding issues in the discussions, is funding for expanded CTE training. I know our state superintendent is 100% behind it.
He is a great supporter, yes.
Possibly because of his work experience.
Yeah.
And I don't have any data on how many of our kids maybe haven't done experiences outside the school because of transportation, but kind of an exciting partnership that C-Tran is expanding their free bus passes to all students in the district. So we're going to be signing that agreement. It was limited before, but now it'll be available to any student who wants a C-Tran pass. I think that's kind of exciting for our
It's
kids.
very exciting.
Perhaps transportation is a hindrance for them.
Especially here in Battleground, we're a little bit kind of over in the corner.
How does it work with hours in the classroom? I mean, they have to put in so many hours. They're going to need 24 credits. We know that. So how does it work? Is it after school hours or?
It is, a junior can get as much as 1 credit, so they're excused for potentially 1 period of the school day, and a senior can do it for 2 periods of the school day. But a lot of those kids, of course, might work beyond the school day. They have to bring their pay stubs into Chris Neal, and she keeps track of all of that, all the hours that the kids do in their pay. And then she has to visit those businesses 3 times a semester. So she does a lot of travel.
Are there hours set that kids have to be at work to get that credit? I mean, I'm sure that they can't just say, oh, I got a job and work 10 hours and get a credit. So.
Right, and that's why we work really closely with the businesses, and the student has to bring in the pay stub to Chris so she can see exactly how many hours that they've worked, and then she keeps track of those hours, and then she also does the visitation to the business.
So is there a minimum number of hours, or?
That would be a question for her. I'm not sure about that. So, yeah. There probably is. I mean, they have to follow L&I. They have to follow all the rules with labor and industry, so we couldn't have, and they have to be a certain age to be able to do this. So, yeah, we have to follow those rules. And Chris knows all that. So.
And I have one more question. What, those businesses, all of those many, many businesses, what do they say about our kids?
That would be a great question for Chris, but from what I understand from her, they are very impressed with our kids. As I said, these are some of our brightest kids that are working and learning great trades and great skills. And you can see some of them have gotten scholarships, and some of them are going into work for apprenticeships, and or they're getting hired on. So and some of them are going into the military, but from what I understand, they're doing a good job.
So speaking of apprenticeships, what type of programs can we put in place to help those businesses advance the apprenticeship for those students before they would jump into a set apprenticeship program?
That is really a good question. I think that's where the state is coming in with that. There is, I think, going to be a big push for more connection to apprenticeships. One of the limitations right now is you have to be 18 years old to be a part of an apprenticeship, a true apprenticeship. We've had, in my conversations locally, we've had conversations about pre-apprenticeship. But to actually move into apprenticeship, you have to be 18. So I'm not quite sure how the state is going to cross that hurdle. But for our students that are graduating that are 18, some of them are going directly into apprenticeship from there.
Yeah, a lot of the apprenticeship programs there's certain classroom requirements,
Yeah,
which could be fulfilled if they were under the
if they were under the age of 18, yeah.
It will be interesting because this current presidential administration is very interested in apprenticeships, and we just read where there's new legislation that may loosen some of those requirements for students to get more students the availability of doing apprenticeships. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that filters down to the state.
Right. And it's always 6 of one and half a dozen of another. I mean, we have the 24 credit diploma now too. So, you know, there's that little bit of a constraint. And yet we also are talking about how we want kids to have more apprenticeship experiences. So.
And a pathway within that 24 credits, which could be part of the apprenticeship.
Right. Okay.
cool stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, our communications report. Ms. Sanders.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. I have a couple of great things to share. So first of all, we have sent out a couple of press releases in the past week about 2 outstanding teachers that have both received Teacher of the Year awards. Yes. So Andrea Johnston, a primary teacher, art teacher at Tukes Valley Primary, received the Washington Art Education Association's Elementary Art Educator of the Year award. So that is outstanding. We're very excited for Andrea. She's a great teacher. Both of my kids have had her for the too, so I can personally attest that she's awesome. Then also at Chief Umtuck Middle School, Beth Doty received a History Teacher of the Year award. And these are all both state awards, by the way, I didn't think I said that. And she received a State History Teacher of the Year award from the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History, which is a national organization dedicated to K-12 American history education. And they present a Teacher of the Year award. They pick one from every state. So she received it for the state of Washington. So that's very exciting for Beth as well. She's, if you know her, she's very dedicated and likes to bring history alive for her students. So we might catch her acting out something in class, I've heard. So that's pretty awesome for her to do that. Then 2 other things I want to share is a couple other things happening this summer. Just because it's summer, education is still continuing in our district. So we have the Daybreak Dragon Book Wagon, which is kind of like a library in the park, because they take books to our park and our students can go there Thursday mornings. There's a park near Daybreak and they can go Thursday mornings from, I had it open and it disappeared. They can go there Thursday mornings from 10 a.m. to noon, beginning this week. Yes, and check out books. It's at Florence Robeson Park on 9th Street. So that's pretty cool that our students in the Daybreak area, because it's our walking school, so we have a lot of students who can walk to the park and check out books every Thursday through August 17th. So that's exciting. And then the other thing we have going on are our lunch meals, the summer meal program. And we have 2 locations this year for the summer meal program. One is at Kiwanis Park, and that one starts Wednesday, and you students or children ages 1 to 18 can get lunch from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then we'll also have another location open up later in the summer at River Home Link School's cafeteria. And lunch will be served there from July 10th to August 4th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., also Monday through Friday. And that coincides with the summer school that we hold at River Home Link also. And that is all the great news I have for today.
There's a nice article in the Columbian about the meals.
Yes.
That's very nice.
Yes, because several school districts in the area, plus a Boys and Girls Club, I think it was, and some other organizations also provide free meals through the summer meals program. We try to make them as available as possible throughout all our area.
And the data's not completely complete yet, but the survey event, how did that look?
Dot Exchange,
Dot Exchange.
that one? Okay, yes. We had great participation. And so they are putting together an analysis for us, and we will be able to share that more towards the fall with our families. And we'll have results in the fall.
And that's all closed now?
Yes, that's close. So we
Stars
have,
are done.
yes, we had, I think there were over 200,000 stars. People's highlighted or prioritized with over 200,000 stars. And we had a participation, it was about 2,000 people, I want to say, just over 2,000 altogether.
And without letting the calendar day too much, is there a specific theme that you saw so far?
I have not seen the results yet, so I'm waiting. They're analyzing it, putting it all together right now. So I have not seen that yet.
Have you seen any reports on the demographics of the people who participated?
I have. We had, I would say it was about a third staff and mostly parents and then a few community members. Mostly parents.
That's what we wanted.
Cool, can't wait to see it.
And we will be able to look at answers by demographics, so we know, we can see this is staff who answered this and this is a parent. So, although sometimes if a staff member is also a parent, like myself, they may have claimed themselves as a parent first. So,
And there was a great article from Mark Ross and Mark Odwin, Columbian,
yes,
Thursday.
yes, we did have. It was Thursday, yes, on our, it was Thursday.
Yeah.
We had the transition article.
Yeah.
Yes, called the transition.
I was trying to get a picture of where I had more hair, but I couldn't find one.
There was
They didn't Photoshop it
also,
for you?
there was also one under the politics.
Yes.
Yes, Katie.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Katie did her column.
Right.
Yes, about the state issues and Mr. Hadaway's response to that. Yeah. The transition article was amazing, I gotta say. It really focused on
Great, too.
our initiatives going forward.
Any other questions or comments from this end?
No. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Enjoy DC.
Yes, thank you. I'll be out of the office in case anyone wants to know. In Washington, D.C.
We'll have fun.
Thanks.
On to our committee reports. Any updates on the Ledge Committee?
Yes. I did speak with Representative Harris today, and he told me they finished a final draft today, and that the draft will be prepared tomorrow. And they will vote on that on Wednesday, he said, or Thursday, and they should have that released Thursday or Friday, and he will email that to me as soon as it is released. He thinks it will be done by Thursday, but he said there will be 6.2 billion more, and that the entire education funding system is being restructured, and that is why it has taken so long.
They've all been called back to be there all week to try to.
Yes, he is still there.
All of them are.
Yes.
They've all been called back. There was another issue that has passed the legislature that affects our kids, and that has to do with the delinking assessments. As of Friday night, we were told that the science requirement, the science assessment has been delinked, and that is retroactive to 2014. I don't think it's gone across the governor's desk yet, but it has passed both houses. And there's still action on whether to delink the others and how to handle them. There's quite a bit going on right now, so there's quite a bit going on about public records. That's still being kind of batted around, I think. What can be requested and what can't, and what can be charged for and what can't, that sort of thing. So there's still several bills out there that will be acted on this week, according to what we were told.
Anything else from the Waste Committee? Perfect, thanks. Then the Audit Committee hadn't met, the FIT Committee hasn't met.
No, we have not.
The Human Resource Committee, there was a negotiations meeting on Wednesday, June 14th, and it went from 8 to 3. The next session, bargaining session, is scheduled for an all-day session on August 1st, with some additional dates, if needed, on the 7th, 14th, 15th, and the 21st. So, that's where we're at on that. Mr. Ross, is there any update on the Clark County School Advisory Council?
Just they're looking for a date in August for the next meeting. So haven't met since then.
So there's no further committee reports. The next item on the agenda is our upcoming board events. We do have a number of parades coming up that many of us may be walking in, and for those staff members that are present and those that aren't present, you can pass the word on to them that they are all invited to participate in walking in those parades. It's nice when staff can be there and show the support for the district. If you need to know those dates, you can visit with Julie, which she won't be here, so Sandy, to find out when they are. Then our next board meeting is July 10th. Any comments on the board events? No? Then we're going to move on to citizen comments.
There were no sign-ups.
There's nobody that is currently signed up to visit with us during citizen comments. And so with that, I'd like to take a quick 2-minute break for myself. So if you guys can be patient, and we'll come back.
Sure.
The next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, I would like to pull item G.
I'll move for approval of the consent agenda minus item G.
And so what those items are the approval of the minutes, the contract ratifications, the personnel report, the student travel, and the proactive orthopedic and sports physical therapy services contract.
Why are we pulling G?
Because it doesn't have to be approved until the end of July.
Okay.
So is there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Because we pulled item G, I would like to make a motion myself to table that until the next meeting in July. So there's a motion on the floor. Any questions or comments?
No.
No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next item is our unfinished business, which there is none this time. So we're going to move on to some new business stuff. And under new business, we have the revision of policy number 3240 for the student conduct. And we have Ms. Taylor to explain that to us.
In September 2016, the legislature changed the law governing student discipline, and the WACs came out later. But WASDA did bring forward a change to the policy 3240, and basically the new verbiage is that the board recognizes schools have to take reasonable steps so that when students who don't follow the expectations and the rules and regulations, that there is discipline, but that discipline does not impact their educational program. So we're working on keeping the kids engaged in their learning, even though they have made some choices that weren't the best. So we wanted to add that to our policy. It was added to the WASDA model policy. So that's for 3240, as well as the student conduct expectation and reasonable sanctions. Questions?
How about some comments?
Just might explain just how we are making those accommodations for kids. I know that there's some, for kids who are incarcerated, there's education there.
Right.
For others, what kind, there's online?
We do online. We may be having the students come at a different time in the day when they can work with the teachers. Mostly it's the online and working with the teachers. And then also looking at the causes of why the choices are being made and helping the students learn how their behavior impacts others as well as themselves and their education, and trying to move that forward. So it aligns with our positive behavior intervention supports that we are focusing on. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I'll move that the Board of Directors approve the revision of policy 3240, student conduct.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further questions or comments? I do have a question. And that question would be, is this like considered to be somewhat of an unfunded mandate, or what's the additional costs that we may incur by having to comply with the state's requirements?
I honestly couldn't tell you what the costs are, but I think the costs are greater when we don't keep our students engaged in their learning, and we're looking at as they end up dropping out of high school and looking at the lower wages that they will earn and those types of things. Those costs have been examined extensively, and that we do know that the more they're disciplined, the more chance of them not being successful for graduation. So, and for me, it's about the kids and their education.
So if I was to say it a different way of what we just said, the cost to society is greater if we don't do this. So therefore, legislators should be looking at the other buckets of funds and taking some of those buckets of funds and turning them into the educational funds to take care of the kids at those levels.
I always think that the legislature should put more money in education. Because they need to. That's our future for everybody.
Okay, we have a current motion on the floor. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Now we'll let you stay there. And we'll
Yes.
get to the next policy, which is about 3241.
3241.
Classroom management discipline and correct action.
That's correct. So in looking at the model policy from WASDA for 3241, most of what was in our previous policy was in the procedure and not the policy. It talks about the definition of discipline, suspensions, expulsions, and they have moved that to the procedure, which we are in the process of also doing with our procedure. And so that's why the recommendation would be to totally delete what we currently have as 3241, and then replace that with the model policy from WASDA 3241. And I particularly like the change in the title where it talks about classroom management, discipline, and corrective action, as opposed to punishment. So my recommendation would be that we would, I know we have to have more than one reading, but that we would follow the model policy that was put out by WASDA.
So the reason that we would have more than one reading is because the majority of the policy is changing.
That's correct.
So if it's a minor change in the policy,
Right.
then we would only have one reading.
That's correct. Thank you.
Any questions?
Do you want a motion?
It would be nice to
I'll make a motion that we approve first reading of policy 3241, classroom management, discipline, and corrective actions.
So we have a current motion on the floor. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Now, we're going to move on to some building stuff, operations. Mr.
Megan.
Megan first. Oh, man.
Mr. Megan.
You swiped.
We got this new program. It's called Board Docs, and on Board Docs, it's not new.
I was gonna say.
But if you swipe to the left, it moves to the next agenda item. And if you swipe too fast, so I guess we got resolution now. So,
We do? Yeah, Ms.
Ms. Hayden.
So the resolution I'm bringing to you is just to make some changes in who can authorize contracts for the district up to the $75,000 for purchase agreements. It's adding Denny Waters, as he will be the deputy superintendent starting July 1st. The resolution also removes Mark Hadaway as superintendent and replaces with Mark Ross. There's also a change to line 4. Used to just note certificated employee supplemental contracts, but now it's for administrative and admin. How should I say it right? Admin support contracts as well. And adding the Mark Ross, Denny Waters, and Linda Allen, and Shelley Whitten. So the only new person to that would be Denny Waters. And that's it.
I'll move the Board of Directors approve Resolution F-17, providing for certain employees to contract on behalf of the Battleground School District.
So
Say public school.
you can say public school if you like.
The school district, it doesn't matter.
Our legal entity name is Battleground School District. We currently have a motion on the floor. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Excited, we should be able to move on to our Lord middle school portables, Mr. Zolman.
I'll just bring them all up since I'm in order. All right, thank you. First item in front of you is item D, that is our Lauren Middle School portable relocation site work. The site work, that includes all of the prepping the building area, all the new asphalt, installing and connecting modular buildings to fire, to the fire line, to domestic water, the new fire hydrant, storm lines, sanitary sewer lines. We're tapping the domestic water line on out on the road there. And we're connecting to our existing storm. Like I said, a fire hydrant, primary power, secondary power. So this is all the earthwork as well as hooking up the, bringing the portables down. It's a little higher estimate than I told you folks. I thought it'd be about 50,000 a pop. In this contract, the new code requirements for all our portables now, at least the double portables. I don't know how it's going to be with the new modulars, but we're having to add second exits to the classrooms with ramps, and those ramps are very expensive, and so is the doors. So even though we're relocating them, they're falling into the new code, so we have to add a second exit. Still undecided on how we'll work out on the modulars. I'll let you know next summer on that. So that was about 50,000, and then all of our other portables have always been just splash blocks. This has an actual infiltration system. That was about 30. So actually, if you take those two items out, it's about 50,000 to relocate now. Glad to answer any questions you may have.
Was that a KCDA contract?
Yes. Well, tips.
Oh, tips. Okay.
I'll make a motion that the board of directors approve the contract for the Lorne Middle School portable relocation site work number 17-040, TIPS contract number 4042315, and authorize Mark Ross, Assistant Superintendent, to sign the contract on behalf of the board of directors.
So we have a motion on the floor. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Now Yakko.
Yakko, this is the similar scope of work as I described in the previous item. Previously, you've already approved the 10-plex structure itself and the foundation. This is for all of the items that I just mentioned, all the earthwork, all of the asphalt, all the connecting to septic, power, water. And just for your information, I went back and looked out compared to last year's contract. It fell exactly in between what we paid at Chief and Pleasant Valley, so prices are very similar, not heavily exorbitant as we've seen in many of our items. So again, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
I'd entertain a motion.
Oh. I'll make a motion that the Board of Directors approve the contract for the Yakko Primary School modular site work number 17-041, TIPS contract number 4042315, and authorize Mark Ross, Assistant Superintendent, to sign the contract on behalf of the board.
So we have a motion on the floor. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Now for the Yakko primary site improvements.
Yeah, that maybe should have been labeled parking lot improvements. However, it's what we're going to be doing is this is for preservation of all the asphalt parking lots that are up there. We're going to do a two-step process. All the drive lanes where they get most of the wear and tear from the tires versus the parking lanes. We're going to be chip sealing all the drive lanes, and then we will be doing over the entire parking lot a seal coat after that, so it'll look the same, and then repainting. This will keep our parking lot good for many, many, many years. Any questions? Be glad to answer. And as you can see, we're having a heck of a time getting bidders.
Yeah, I've got a question, Kevin, on that. What's the price difference between doing that and if a person done an overlay? Is it
Substantial.
okay?
Substantial.
What about the lifespan of doing the chip seal to the overlay? Is there? I know it'd be substantial.
It's not necessary to do an overlay. That's why that's why we do this, is to prevent having to do the overlay, because it's so much more expensive. This will give us, 10 years easy. So that's why we do this.
So on the chip seal, do they use a 1/4 inch?
I'll have to dig in. I can't answer you.
I'm just curious.
I think it's a 1/3 inch.
They probably actually use tenths.
I'll move the Board of Directors authorize the award of bid to Sierra Santa Fe Corporation for the amount of $75,328.03, including sales tax, for rehabilitating parking lots at Yaco Primary School.
So we have a motion on the floor. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Just a quick compliment that I think that taking care of the parking lots in this way, doing it before they get totally terrible, makes a lot of good sense.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Both monetarily and physically.
it in all ways. Safety and view, and the looks of the place and everything. It just makes good sense to take care of what you've got. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So while you're still there, Mr. Goma, why don't we go through the HVAC?
This is an interesting one. This is the Captain Strong was built in 1, 2, 3, if not 4 phases. And this is the first phase, which as you walk into the front entry, the wing that continues straight out, that you can look down. That's the original construction. Then they added that wing to the north, where the library is, and the ramp up. And then in the 2006 bond, we added the new wing to the south and the gym. So I guess it's 3 wings. And they're all independent HVAC systems. They all handle their own areas. They're not interlinked together. And this is a really interesting one. For years we've struggled with our CO2 levels and getting enough fresh air into that wing. And as we dove deeper and deeper into it and looked at solutions for that, whether it be the equipment or what have you, we discovered that the fresh air intake didn't actually penetrate the building and go outside and retrieve fresh air. The fresh air system was the attic air. It was a trend in the 70s and 80s on efficiency, energy efficiency back then. So our fresh air came from our attic space, and that's tended to be why we couldn't maintain our CO2 levels. So this is reducting the entire wing and penetrating the roofs and putting new air intakes, and it'll solve these issues that we've had. It was designed and built that way, and that's not what it was. But and to my knowledge, hopefully, I do not know that we have any others like that.
That was my question.
Shall I make a motion that the Board of Directors approve the contract for Captain Strong's HVAC revision SW 17-010 and authorize Mark Ross, Assistant Superintendent, to sign the contract on their behalf?
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any questions or comments? We do have another question from Mr. Goma. How close was this to estimate?
It was 85, so about 20,000 over.
In only the one bidder.
Yep. That's just,
Tiny.
it's just been our norm. If we get a bid, we're happy. In my almost 40 years of doing this business, I've never seen a period like this. The almost straight up scale that prices are increasing. In the 2007 crash, that was a nice 10-year. I mean, it was pretty steady, but it was a 10-year. And right now, it's just straight up. The supply and demand, everybody went out of business during the Great Recession. And there's just not enough subcontractors. And I know I'm speaking of the choir to some of you, but this is an unprecedented time in construction that I've ever seen. So we are going to have to revisit our bond and talk about dollars, just a FYI, and I hope to do that during our July 24th work session.
Okay, we currently have a motion on the floor. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. So, gentlemen, we have on the agenda is our purchase of second step for Greg's K-5. Ms. Matheson.
Hello.
How are you on this beautiful evening?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Great.
So I'll give you a little bit of background about this because it's quite a purchase we're hoping to do. In all the years that I've been managing federal grants, and it's been about 20, I've never seen something that is happening, which is happening right now either. So the grant is federally funded out of SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. And in the first year that we received this funding, it was 3 years ago, they said to us, even though you wrote this huge grant application and you know what you're going to do, you have to spend the whole first year planning. And until we give you approval to actually work with children, you got to plan. They give you the same amount of funding each year, even though the first year you don't essentially get to spend it, if that makes sense. Then for the next 4 years of the grant, you would get, that money goes into a carryover fund. And each year of that, if you're smart, like we are, you would say, oh, we need to spend a certain percentage of that each year to enhance what we already said we were going to do. This is the third year of the grant funding. It's supposed to be a 5-year grant. And we got notification about 2-3 months ago that all carryover funding would need to be spent out this year or we would lose it.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. So that is why I'm sitting in front of you today talking about $90,000 worth of spending on a social emotional program for our children. So I'd like to talk to you about Second Step. I've been associated and known about this project, and it started in the Battleground School District in 1987. We use Second Step in the classrooms here. It's a very research-based program. It's a social emotional learning program for children. It helps students develop their social emotional skills, including problem solving, managing emotions, something called self-regulation, which really means they learn how to control their reactions and make responsible decisions. Helps them really become aware of empathy, and how to calm down and things like that. It aligns very, very nicely with PBIS. So this is a Tier 1 program. That means all students, if we can, in this case, K-4, we are working towards having all students receive information and skills training in their classrooms. Okay, that's what we're doing. The overall grant was put together, one of the goals was to improve school climate. And I just want to talk to you about the research that an organization called CASEL did. CASEL stands for the Collaboration of Academic and Social Emotional Learning. They just recently published a meta-analysis that included the findings of the largest, most scientifically rigorous review of research ever done on school-based intervention programs. And when they talk about Second Step, they said, students receiving school-based social emotional learning scored 11 percentile points higher in academic achievement tests than their peers who did not receive it. So not only will students gain skills, get along with each other better, learn to manage themselves, but we're very hopeful that it will contribute to academic achievement and gains. So that's what we're doing. We've worked really hard as a district committee, involving many people, to say, what will this take? Can we get this implemented? And it's about $90,000 worth of funding that's going for the materials. But I hate giving back funding. And so, like I said, it aligns very nicely with what we're trying to do.
And you looked at other programs as well.
Yeah, there's a national registry called NRAP. It stands for National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices. And the feds say you really need to pay attention to that registry when you're looking at what you're purchasing. This meets the standards for being on that registry. It's quite rigorous, actually. So second step is there.
And I know even though you don't like to give money back, you personally don't like to put money out there just to be spending.
No. We've been with the committee. Mark is on that committee, and lots and lots of people are on there at the district level, our PBI's coaches, and really been very thoughtful, I feel, about this decision about where we should spend it.
Does the carryover cover the 90,000?
Yes, we're using it to purchase it.
So if I understood correctly, we are in this grant and we have to have a plan for sustainability after the grant is over as well. So if we were to move forward with these supplemental materials, we would have bought some through those extended years after the grant was expired.
So, well, another reason, that's a really good point. Another reason we chose second step is because all of our middle schools, grades 6 through 8, already have this material. And this is K-5. And yes, once we purchase it, it's sustainable. It goes on. So we're providing enough materials here for every classroom essentially to have what they need to implement. Is that your question?
Yeah, so we're actually purchasing some of the materials before we normally would have.
Yes, we are.
The other thing is our results that we're seeing. I think there's even an article recently that came out about our graduation rates, our attendance, our discipline. We're seeing some very positive results of the programs that have come about because of this grant.
Very, very excited to share those results with you soon. Early in the fall, hopefully. We get these wonderful reports from our outside evaluation team, but just preliminarily, yes, we have really good outcomes. So it's exciting stuff and it's working really well. This should be a nice addition to that. I'm actually really, really excited as your social emotional director to have the social emotional curriculum K-8 in the district, or not curriculum, but resources for kids.
And I will move the board authorize the purchase of second step materials for grades K-5 for the amount of $91,843.96, including sales tax and shipping.
And a 10% discount.
And a 10% discount on that.
That is, I want to be clear, it's an estimate that we put together, so it might, it's probably not going to go up, but yes, that's as close as we can come today. It's about 91,000.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any questions or comments? Just one other comment. I don't like to spend money if it's not planned for. That's why I asked those specific questions. Many times it's better if we return it. But because this had a plan that was part of the long-range plan, therefore I think be it better. So we have a motion on the floor. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. The next item is our citizens' comments. Ms. Allen, you see if anybody signed up while I was out.
It's blank.
It's blank.
It is.
Is there anybody that's wishing to address the board, or is there the board have anything that's pretty good to the order?
I do.
Yes, Ms. Nichols.
I think most of us know that tonight is the last night for the lady who answers the telephone superintendent's office. This is Julie speaking. That makes us all feel so good when we call in. This is her last night as a board secretary. Thursday is her last day in the district. And personally, I'm going to miss Julie an awful lot. So I just would like to recognize her and say, Julie, thank you for the years of service and for keeping us on task and organized and taking care of us as well as you have for all this time.
Mavis, you're very welcome. All of you, it's just been my pleasure, each and every one of you, to serve you. And it's just been a delight. And I just love you all to pieces. And you're a great board. And I hope everyone realizes that in this room, in this district, and this town. You guys have just done an awesome job. And I know it's going to just get better. So thank you for everything. And I'll quit before I start tearing up here.
Me too.
Let's give her a big
Yeah,
round of
thank you.
And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.